we're building into the system where you can wager. Like Paz, I'm going to leave myself out of it because I won't be able to win anyways. But Paz could play Viper, and you guys can wager, 100 arc on each other and come to our platform and queue it up and play each other. And it's all handled on the back end infrastructure that we're building. So it's kind of like a tournament system that also builds like third party PvP logic into these different games. So I think that'll be interesting for Parallel in particular. And then obviously, Gauntlet and Illuvium are going to benefit from that as well. It's going well. We're busy, but the right kind of busy, I guess. Meeting with a lot of different games, a lot of different creators, and trying to expand the platform to new games and such. Excited for Illuvium to be here finally. So we can start running some stuff with more Illuvium stuff. But yeah, just
wait. Do you have some alpha for us? What does Arcade have planned with Illuvium?
We've got I think about 300 plots of land that'll be going towards mission pools. So essentially, those we'll have operators that are managing the land. We're probably going to do like 10 plots per player to start or something, or maybe 5 plots per player. And we're working with so Wildfire is going to manage some of them. Talking to a few other guilds. So kind of the model with Arcade is that we have lots of different types of players and guilds that come in and operate them, and then it creates this competitive environment where some mission pools will perform better than others because they're better at managing the land, or they're more organized, or whatever the case is. And then the Arcade token holders go in and deposit into those pools and share in the rewards from the activity. So to start, it'll be just the returns that are from fuel that's sold into the market. But eventually we want to expand into lots of different kind of parts of the Illuvium ecosystem. So, I mean, we'll have mission pools for like, runs for like maybe 10 like tier 3 runs or whatever, whoever can get the most things and bring it back and stuff like that. So it's going to be fun, but yeah, we're excited. It's been a long time coming for Illuvium. So just 2 weeks away now.
Yeah, that's pretty
cool. I'm so excited.
Counting the days.
Yeah. If you need another guild to operate, by the way, Phantom is always down. Just let us know.
Yeah, be down.
How does this work? Like when you said that it's gonna be competitive, like are you gonna boot people as well if they don't perform?
So it's a little bit of like a self-balancing or self-regulating system, because in order for a mission pool to run, the pool has to have like a threshold met of tokens that are deposited into it. So the idea is that if a gamer is bad at it, that they're not going to get the tokens deposited into the pool, and then it's not going to run. So they kind of eliminate themselves by being bad. And the best players are going to be the ones that have more tokens deposited into those pools. So they'll kind of rise to the top. And then what we're building currently is it's like basically like a profile system for mission pool operators, where over time you'll be able to see like the performance and the success rate of all of Wildfire's mission pools, and you can compare them to Phantom's mission pools. And it starts to become this kind of competitive nature where, Phantom is trying to get a higher rate of return than the Wildfire guys or these guys or that guys. And it becomes like a bragging right type of thing. And then also the guilds then get access to more assets that we have for other games if they want to expand or whatever. So we have, several $1 million in assets currently, and we're actively reinvesting more into new assets and expanding to new games and stuff. So as that happens, the idea is to find guilds as mission pool operators and then scale with those guilds as they want to expand to new games. Because it can be expensive to have the full exposure to every game that a guild wants to be involved with, right? Like if you guys go all in on Illuvium, like you're spending a lot of time and energy creating content for it and stuff. And then suddenly you're like, okay, we also want to do Parallel. then you have to go and like train all of these people to like make content and recruit and train for this other thing and get a bunch of cards and whatever the case is. So the idea is to make it so that guilds can be a little bit more nimble. They can just come to Arcade and say, hey, we're interested in expanding to Parallel, give us the assets. And Parallel is an interesting example because of the bond system. So a lot of games don't have a system like that where it's easy to get onboard players with assets and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the general idea.
What do you think on Parallel in general? Because we've talked recently about Parallel, essentially. I think Parallel is a clone of Hearthstone on the like free-to-play, the operations side of things, right? Then the other side is super DeFi heavy. Obviously, you're more interested in the DeFi side of things. What do you think on like everything that's going on there? Because it's such a like vast thing, because you can like sleeve the cards, right? There's these different airdrops if you hold things, and you get prime rewards if you place well on the leaderboards and such. Yeah, there's like so much going on there. What do you think on Parallel overall?
Yeah, so we kind of did a trial run with Paz actually to have him operate a mission for us this past month. And I mean, it's definitely, there's learning curves with any new game that we pick up, because we have to figure out which assets we need to acquire, how sustainable is the model going to be in the long run for everyone, because it has to be worth it to the gamer as well as Arcade, because we sink the money into the assets. And obviously it has to be worth it to the Arcade token holders, because they want to get a decent return of rewards on the mission pools, right? So there has to be kind of enough to go around. And with Parallel, I think it's becoming clear that in order for it to be worthwhile as a mission pool, the player needs to be competing at a master level, because if they're going to go and earn for themselves, they could do that at silver or gold and get like a little bit of earnings, right, without having access to all of the keyframes and all of the cards that they could ever want. But in order for a average user to get exposure to the earning potential of a master player, that's a little bit fewer and farther between. Like even I would deposit into a Parallel mission pool if the operator was a master, because I'm not competing at a master level. I can't earn that many rewards. And if you're hitting like good proc on all the keys and stuff, then you are, you can earn 1, 2, 3 Parallel a day or prime a day. And I'm averaging like, I don't know, 0.2 or 0.3 or something. So even with cuts that go, a few different ways in the mission pool, it would still be better for me to do that. So I think Parallel, so the reason that I was interested in Parallel initially also is that we're building we're calling it the esports arcade, but we're building like a whole esports side of the platform where it'll be Web2 game friendly, but also Web3 game friendly. And so that'll be really good for Parallel in particular, because we'll be able to host tournaments and do like PvP stuff. So like we're building into the system where you can wager. Like Paz, I'm going to leave myself out of it because I won't be able to win anyways, but Paz could play Viper and you guys can wager, 100 ARC on each other and come to our platform and queue it up and play each other. And it's all handled on the back end infrastructure that we're building. So it's kind of like a tournament system that also builds like third-party PvP logic into these different games. So I think that'll be interesting for Parallel in particular. And then obviously, Gauntlet and Illuvium are going to benefit from that as well. So
yeah, that's super cool. Like I've been looking forward and hoping that somebody would build that third-party app so we can actually play for ETH like it was originally planned. But I think for Illuvium it was really hard to like all the gambling restrictions or whatever they could fall into just to stay safe legally. Was it hard for you to manage all of that, or are you still in the process?
Yeah, so we're fortunate that we have, or I'm fortunate, I guess, one of Arcade's founders is a practicing attorney in New York. So it is a little bit cheaper and easier for us to navigate those waters, because I don't have to pay an attorney $1 million to figure out how to do it legally or how to structure it legally. So really thankful that we have him on the team, but he's making it, we're having to navigate it carefully, but he's figured out a way for us to do it legally. And it won't be like full-on gambling in the sense that I can't bet on Paz or Viper initially, right? But Paz and Viper
you're
compete against one another.
Basically, right?
Yeah,
like you just give people like an escrow so that they can like wager on a trustless way versus each other.
Right.
Yeah, that's very different to gambling.
Exactly.
The plan is to have other people wager on games they're not playing in the long run, right?
In the long run, yeah, but that does involve licenses and making sure you're in the right jurisdictions and stuff. So, and we'll have to geogate a lot of that stuff. But the first iteration of it is, I think we're going to call them battle pools, but it'll be, like we'll have these battle pools that essentially you can queue up against another player and wager using the system. So, I think that'll be fun to play around with, but. Yeah, in general, I mean, I'm having fun with Parallel. I never did play a TCG until I got into Parallel just a few months ago. So I wasn't good, and I'm still not that good. But this is my first experience with a TCG, and I think it's been, pretty enjoyable.
For that, you're really good, actually. Like that's a fast learning curve. Yeah.
Yeah, I started in May, I think. So.
Yeah, that's not too long ago. I think it's interesting to see someone that's like in like gaming to some extent, industry wise, that never played a card game before. I feel like everybody like kind of grew up with like, I mean, depending on how old you are, like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or something like that. It's like rare for me. Interesting.
Yeah, I collected cards. I have binders full of cards from Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff. I just never. I think I might have played around with like Yu-Gi-Oh, in real life play once or twice, but I never got really into it that much. Not that it was a lack of interest. I guess it just it wasn't super prevalent, especially in my area. So I grew up in Arkansas, where no one ever does anything. So when I was growing up and I was a kid, that stuff just wasn't really around. But I've always really loved collecting things. So that's also why I fell in love with Parallel so quickly, because I'm like, I have that gotta collect them all mentality like very quickly. And that's also why I like Illuvium so much. So I've just been, trying to collect cards and stuff, and I like the art and figured I'd give it a shot. And it's been very addictive, for me at least. And I've seen some people say, it's just a worse version of Hearthstone or whatever. And like, maybe if you have that prior perspective, Parallel doesn't look as good. But for me, not having any previous experience with other games, it's like, man, it looks fine to me, but I also don't have like anything to compare it to that might be better. So
I think the issue Parallel has is like UI and UX is like really bad, basically. Like it looks like an alpha version of what people are used to on just the user experience side of things, and like, I don't know, playing Hearthstone or playing Runeterra or Master Duel or like any of the Web2 prevalent card games, essentially. I think on a gameplay side, it's a really, really good game. That's why like so many Hearthstone pros, right, are like so incredibly optimistic on it. I think I'm always the most critical, or like I talk to a lot of them about this, and I'm like the most critical of the game, because I'm like, okay, like I don't know, UI is missing, UX is missing, there's like a bunch of annoying bugs, and they have like issues with the MMR system right now, and like all of that stuff. So I'm like far more critical on that game, but then they're like so incredibly optimistic about Parallel. So that's that's what got me interested in it. I was like, okay, people I respect and whose opinions I value are super optimistic on the game. So let me check it out. And yeah, I agree. On the gameplay side, it's really, really good.
Do you think it has the legs that it needs to be successful and like get adoption? Do you think there's enough staying power, like based on the community and what you've encountered so far?
Yeah, we've in the last episode we recorded, we talked with one of the top Parallel players, Talker Sparrows, and like he's been doing well all the time in ladder, right? He's doing a lot of content and stream, and his take was essentially the game probably needs something that's like a bit special than like something else, like something that keeps people coming back and so on. We talked a lot about TCGs in that episode, and basically, I guess like the TLDR take is, right, Magic is like the top mana-based card game, and nothing else really copied Magic ever, or like did better. Then Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like the craziest non-resource-based game, and then Pokemon is like Yu-Gi-Oh! But it forces you to play more than more turns. Like you cannot just kill somebody in one turn. Pokemon is like a couple, like 3+ turns at least, like 6 turns in the base game at least, because you don't need to get into it. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like the fastest crazy game that you can do. Pokemon, the same thing, but forces more turns. And Magic forces like the most turns with the mana system, basically. And then One Piece is the recent new one that made a new card game that people really like, and it's different from those. And everything in between those three, which are like 26 years plus old, and One Piece has failed. Now, I don't know, will the new One Piece game stay around or not, but it has a good chance because it's new. And Parallel is kind of just Hearthstone or like Magic in a sense from the mana system with a better version of the mana system. I think that is fair to say, but it is missing this special thing yet, like something maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that really sets it apart. Does Parallel, and we don't have to get too far down the rabbit hole since you guys talked about TCGs last week, but just out of curiosity, does Hearthstone have all of the same card types? Like, does it have relic, like an equivalent of like a relic, and so obviously effects or spells, right? And then you have units and you have upgrades, I'm assuming. Those are kind of the 4 main things, right? So
it has like more than that, because Hearthstone also has like weapons, and I guess it has like those plus weapons. And like Hearthstone has like a bit more. It's like basically it's like some other specific things on cards and some other keywords and so on. Hearthstone obviously around for like 12 years now, 13 years now. So there's a lot of stuff that added up over those years. No, I mean the difference is the mana system. Parallel has a better mana system, and
because you're banking,
Parallel is
right?
more,
you don't have to bank in Hearthstone.
No, you just get a free mana every turn, basically.
Gotcha.
I think banking is like a way better system, and the main difference is Hearthstone. When people say like Parallel cards, like you didn't play card games before, but then people say like, oh, Parallel cards are really powerful compared to what they are used to some other games. They're like a joke to what Hearthstone cards are power crept towards nowadays, for example. So it's way more of a basic game, and it is way less RNG cards in the game. So Hearthstone has a lot of cards that are pretty heavy on, I don't know, you play this card, it randomly gives you this other card, and that card randomly gives you something else, and obviously random sometimes within reason, sometimes not within reason, and Parallel has a very little of that. So that's like, Parallel is like an older version of Hearthstone with a better mana system in that sense.
And in terms of
online,
of one
which
card,
is great.
In terms of one card getting you more cards, I did hit an Adira into I hit face with it against Aeneas and hit what is the copy card? You know, that the blue hands. What's it called?
Singularity.
Yeah, I hit Adira into that, and then copied my Adira and hit again to get another blue hand thing, and ended up with 3 Adiras on the board in one turn. So sometimes it can work out, I guess. But it's
rare, right? In Hearthstone, that's like very normal. Or like in a lot of decks, it's very, very normal that you do that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's good. That was a good game.
By the way, everybody, welcome back to the podcast.
We dove right in.
Maybe we're gonna either stop cold opening and introducing in the beginning, or just not introduce at all. We're right in.
Just cut it, Just cut it in there at some point.
No, that's too much work for me. I'm the editor. Let's not do that. But we're here with JP, and he's the founder and CEO, I guess, are your titles of Arcade. Yeah. And also my fellow council member in Illuvium, deeply embedded in Illuvium. And I had one more question about Arcade, because people put money in, then they put money into mission pools. Those mission pools are kind of giving the money to the players. The players then with that money make more money out of it in play to earn games. And then it gets like a cut gets back to the investors, right? Kind of the basic one, basic understanding of it?
Kind of. So there's certain words we can and can't say, especially based out of the US. But I mean, you can explain it however you want to. But I guess how I would put it is so a mission pool is basically a derivative of any type of in-game activity. It can be, an example. We can use the Parallel as an example, right? Because you just did that. So Parallel, you could say 30 days of grinding ladder on Parallel. However much prime is earned from that goes back to the mission pool. The operator, who is you in this example, gets your cut for operating. The people that deposited their ARC tokens into the pool get a cut of those rewards for depositing into the pool, and then the rewards come back to them, and they can take those rewards and sell them, or they can put them back into a new mission pool. And the idea is that the ARC token serves as this vehicle that you can get exposure to the broader GameFi ecosystem without having to play every single game. So like for the average person, let's say, some random person just really hates card games, but they think that the parallel ecosystem is going to continue to do well. They think the economy is going to do well. They can deposit their ARC tokens into a parallel mission pool and get rewards from that direct in-game economy without having to play the game. All they have to do is deposit their tokens into it.
So it's kind of, could you maybe, I think we said the same thing, but I get what you mean. Like you have to, but could you also compare it with, for example, staking in Illuvium? You put your LV tokens in and then you get a cut of the revenue. Just in this case, you don't put it into Illuvium, but into the mission pool.
Yeah, the difference would be that with Illuvium, it's a revenue share of everything that the DAO does or makes. Mm-hmm. And with our model, you're only getting a cut of what that specific mission pool activity makes. So if there's a bunch of different missions for Big Time, Star Atlas, Parallel, Illuvium on the platform, you only get rewards from the mission pools you deposit into. You don't get rewards from all of the mission pools. And we see this kind of as an advantage because in some cases there's there's going to be missions or operators that do poorly, and that would drag down the average for people if they were getting exposure to everything. Whereas if I know that Viper is a really good TCG player, I'm going to rush to deposit into all of his TCG pools because I know I'm going to get better returns there than somewhere else.
And that leads exactly in the question where I was getting at. If I have a mission pool and Viper has one, but he is rank 1, I'm rank 5, why would anybody put anything in mine? Why wouldn't 100% be on Viper? Because you get the better return there.
The difference would be that pools all have a max amount that can be deposited. So it's a first come, first serve model. All right. If you guys both go live at the same time, it's true that people might rush just to get into Vipers, but in 5 seconds, his might fill up. And then they're like, okay, Paz is the next best. Yeah. And we're going to put it into his. So if all three of us had a mission pool and I'm a plat and Viper's a master and you're a diamond or whatever, they might fill up.
A master.
Might fill up your guys' first, and then as a platinum, I'm going to fill up last because people are like, oh man, crap, I was too slow, but better than nothing type thing. Or they might just say, I didn't get into Viper's pool, so now I'm going to put these tokens into an Illuvium pool because I'll catch the next parallel one when Viper's open or whatever. So that's kind of the gamification of the platform, is you have to decide which operators and types of activities you want to pile in on. And if you think that Illuvium's economy is going to be do really well this first quarter, maybe you want to prioritize putting tokens into Illuvium mission pools because the returns are going to be so crazy. And then as those returns get lower, you shop for the next game that you think is going to be pumping out the most rewards.
And last one, is it going to be hard to change? Now I see Viper, he's he fell off. He's only rank 10 anymore. And I'm actually now rank 5 and everybody wants to swap over to me. Can they just do that right away or?
Yeah, so you can always deposit or withdraw your tokens from a pool, but these mission pools have so they're time based. It's a set duration. So Viper's mission pool would be 30 days or whatever. So if 15 days in, he could just go AWOL entirely and just stop playing 15 days in. If you saw that, you could be like, okay, I'm going to pull out of this pool and go into Paz's because he's actually continuing to play daily. But worst case scenario, at the end of the 30-day period, when the pool closes or when the pool is distributed, then you could always rotate to another person or another place or whatever. You're not it's not like a set it and forget it type thing. You have to regulate who you want to be supporting for what period of time. I don't know if I can share my screen, but if we have other questions, I can share my screen and show what it looks like on the DApp. It's probably a little bit easier to understand. But
yeah, no, you explained it pretty well. It makes a lot of sense. It's cool. It's a nice feature. I like that.
Yeah, it sounds good. Like, essentially, you can access like all the ecosystems of one token, right? You don't have to like do a bunch of DeFi things. You just have like a lot of things convoluted in one. I think that's really useful tool.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that don't want to have to juggle a bunch of wallets. So especially as GameFi expands into more and more chains, it could become annoying for someone to say, okay, well, I want exposure to, you know, this game that's on Avalanche, but I also want exposure to this game on Solana, but crap, I don't have any tokens on Solana. I don't want to have to bridge, like I'll just pass on that. But on the arcade platform, there could be a pool for a game on Solana, and you can get exposure to that game's economy without having to figure out how to get tokens over to the network.
I skipped everything that's not on ETH basically for exactly that reason. Like
that would be a super nice idea for a dApp where I just need one token, and then from this app I can expand into all other games, like what you do with mission pools, just for me as a player. So I just have IMX passport, and it bridges to all the other chains, and just is the one-stop go for all gaming kind of thing.
Yeah, like a chain agnostic wallet that can tap into everything. But and we're building, so this is maybe also some alpha. I don't know. My product guy might get mad at me, but we're building our own like trustless lending solution. So I know like Polemos is like a good example of one that's building similar like rental tech and stuff. So we're kind of going down a similar route, but we're building ours into a wallet. So the wallet will have lending features built into it, to where like if I want to lend my land to Paz, I can do so from the wallet that we're creating for that specific game. So maybe that wallet that we're creating, we could work something out to where it's like chain agnostic for the player themselves as well. But I don't know, we're not quite there yet. That's like further down the roadmap.
That's like similar to what, like, if I understood right, what Wayfinder to some extent is going to be able to do for people, right? But you essentially just tell it like, okay, I want, I don't know, this amount of money sent to this chain, this wallet. Look, go create the wallet and do the transactions for me, and I just hit like one sign button. I think that's like the user side of things that people probably would really appreciate, because then it's like, well, this thing, I just tell it what I want it to do, and it can like figure out all the steps that there are on crypto and DeFi and wallets and like whatever things that people might not be tech savvy on, essentially. And it just makes it easier. Right? That's like what AI in great sense does for us in general, where we can just tell it, I don't know, I want this website or this program or this tool or do this task on this text, right? Like all these things, we can just tell AI. So I think there's probably just going to be an application that does that. And then that's going to be super, super useful for just onboarding people into all of this, right? Because then it's simplified to the extent where you don't have to be very knowledgeable of stuff, and it's very easy to use.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited for Wayfinder, honestly, and I think it's gonna be game changing. But
I haven't heard about it yet. Not much about it yet. Is it kind of like ChatGPT for blockchain? Could you say it like that?
It's Chat. It actually is integrated with OpenAI, I believe. I think Wayfinder, the team behind Wayfinder, has some kind of partnership with OpenAI, but the idea is that it's like a personal trading assistant that executes on your trades by you just telling it what you want to do. So if instead of having to figure out where to go to do every little thing, you load the wallet with ETH, you tell your Wayfinder assistant, hey, I want to stake this ETH as Aave in Aave's governance protocol. It goes and tells you all of the different steps that it's going to do. If it needs to bridge the funds, it'll do that. If it needs to move it from this wallet to that wallet, it'll do it. And then it'll just ask you to sign the transaction to deposit it. And then it'll give you back a confirmation. Hey, you've exchanged 1 ETH for X amount of Aave and deposited it into the protocol. You're earning 5.6% APY. and that's the end of it. So it's basically taking all of the complexity out of figuring out how to engage in DeFi, because you're just telling your chatbot what you want to do and it does it.
That's so cool. It's going to help a lot for mainstream or for
yeah. So I'm pretty excited. And for those that don't know, you can it's called caching, but you can cache your Prime tokens for Prompt, which is the token that Wayfinder is going to be launching. And I don't know exactly how that token is going to play into Wayfinder's protocol, but it is certainly worth looking into, I think. So, but yeah,
it's like you can basically like pseudo. You kind of like by staking Prime, you can buy into the the TG of Wayfinder tokens. It's like, yeah, you just buy the TG with it basically. That's like the use case that's literally the use case for Prime right now, right? There's not that much to do in the gaming system. Like there's some things, but it's not crazy.
It's getting a little bit better though.
Yeah, the main use case that people have for Prime right now is literally like this, like caching, or could call it staking or whatever. I think it's 45% of the supply is going to be given out that way. So
yeah, and there's a lot of the supply has already been cached. I don't know. There's a tracker on Dune. I think.
It's like a third or something. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's like 35 or 40%.
Down a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But have you had a chance to look into Colony? I think you had said a month ago when we were first planning this out that you were going to look into it or were thinking about it. But I think Colony is also going to be pretty cool. Either of you guys, I guess. I think it was Viper that said you were going to look more into it, but
no, I mean, I looked more into Parallel, right? And I started playing Parallel essentially because I was like month downtime of Illuvium, so I was like, okay, whatever. And like a bunch of people I know, like personally from Hudson, started playing it, and they are super optimistic on Parallel. So that's why I was like, okay, I'll look into it. If you guys are so optimistic on this, then there has to be something there. Well, I guess it's a good card game basically, and I think the DeFi elements on Parallel are, it's very deep, and it's like difficult to find a good cohesive thing on. Okay, you can, right? There's like sleeving cards, there's a bunch of airdrops, there's a bunch of things related to holding things and making sets and so on and so on. So that's like, I think that's like hard to get into on the Parallel side of things. On Colony, I don't really know. I don't own any avatars yet or anything. I've only pretty much just looked into the card game side of things. But it sounds interesting, especially that there are going to be more games. And I hope they have more things for the Prime token. I think that is like on the tokenomics side of things, there's a lot of things that give you tokens right now. And after, I don't know, Wayfinder, I mean, okay, like whole market is like downright also kind of wrecked essentially. So I think people just expected, I don't know what they expect, but Wayfinder was like the big hype thing. And I think after Wayfinder was live and people could like cash Prime, a lot of people were also just like, okay, maybe it wasn't exactly what they expected. So I think that just the demand side on that fell through, kind of.
Yeah, I think there are a good bit of people that were expecting like an exit pump on Prime whenever caching started, and when they didn't get that, they were just like, screw it, I'll just dump the Prime I was going to sell anyways, type of thing. But I mean, so the idea with Colony is that it will also have syncs for the Prime token, but Colony is interesting because it taps into a lot of the AI tech that they're building subsequently for like Wayfinder as well. And the idea with Colony is that you essentially have this AI agent that I honestly look at it a little bit like a simulation theory type thing, because essentially what's going to be happening is you will deploy your avatar into Colony, and your avatar is an AI. You interact with it with your keyboard by typing to it, and that AI learns based on what you tell it, and it learns from its environment in Colony. So Colony is like a MMO type game. It's an omniview kind of like top-down view, but open world, right? And you can tell your AI agent like, hey, go and mine this resource or whatever. And simulation theory-esque, it's interesting to me because I think of like, obviously they're not sentient. AIs aren't, it's not true AI in that sense because it's just a large language model. But eventually I'm just thinking of like, from that AI's perspective, it's like some God is telling me like, go mine this ore or whatever. And it's like, it's learning from its environment within the game. But for the AI, it's like, they don't know anything more than just their environment that you're teaching it about as it's going. And then you have everyone else's AI avatars are interacting in the environment as well. So you're kind of like a puppet master training your AI through words that and instructions that you give it, and then it executes on what it thinks you want to do in the game, and you can reward, you earn from how successful that AI is at doing its thing. So I think it's like an interesting approach to the whole like MMO strategy type thing, because you can't directly do anything, but your success is kind of weighed on how well you can train your AI to do the things that you want it to do. So I think it's going to be interesting. But yeah, that's some utility for avatars, and there'll be syncs for Prime in that. There'll also be faucets for Prime in that, because I think you earn Prime from that game as well. So, it's all a big tokenomic balancing thing. But I'm pretty optimistic.
That's really cool, right? Because we enter like I feel like we enter like an age of gaming to some extent, where games require you little time input, but you can do a lot of things with them. Like very high up there, what people want to do with. So if you can like train the AI, and the AI does a lot of things for you, you still see, okay, this is my game, and I've gotten all these things, I've done all these things in a game, and it's like the similar, like people are like, okay, botting, right? People have been botting in a bunch of games, so RuneScape, World of Warcraft days, and it was like their gameplay, and now you actually have a gamified version of botting a game essentially. Mm-hmm. So I think that's cool. That's something new as well.
Yeah, and also there was like a mobile game, I think it was called AFK Arena or something, that we're the first ones to have this. You give him something, you go away, you come back, you start up the game next day, and it did overnight. It farmed you all those resources that you can use. And it was super popular because people felt like they actually like are cheating, or they are like botting, or they're getting free stuff all the time while sleeping. And that's a really cool idea. And I also really like the idea of having your little AI baby and train it to become a full-grown man or whatever. That was really funny.
Yeah, and the they've shown some demos on it, but it's hilarious because the AI doesn't have to do so. It again, obviously they're not sentient, but it's interesting to me that they can say no to you. Like the AI, there was a demo where the instructor, the person playing and giving instructions, said like, hey, let's craft some of this item or whatever. And the AI literally responded back, because it chats back with you. And it was literally like, I don't really feel like it right now. And the guy's like, well, we need to do this for like this reason and that reason. And it's like, I think I'm going to go to the bar first. And it's like, you start to get this sense of like, they have this like personality that you have to train around. And I don't know, it seems fun to me. I like that kind of like strategy type, game where, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's like
a bit of a D&D kind of pen and paper vibe, right? Where you have to essentially actually role play a bit, or go with the character and understand how to approach it and what to do. It's like how, I don't know, the game master and like a pen and paper could be like, oh, they've acted this way towards me, so I'm gonna spawn a pitfall. Or they've been graciously, I'm gonna spawn the treasure chest or something like that, right? I mean, that's cool. It's like this romanticized idea of gaming that technically wasn't really possible so far, but large language models essentially allow it to exist now. Like that's like where gaming is going to go in general. It's going to be more and more of those things implemented, that people also have a personalized experience in a lot of single player games, probably.
100%.
Like the vendor at the store or whatever, the blacksmith, maybe the way you interact with them is going to give you a better or worse item. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think we're...
No, you go.
Yeah, I was just going to say, kind of along that vein, I think that AI is really going to do a lot for gaming for similar reason that we have basically limitless replayability, right? Like imagine where you can play a single player game 100 times, and every time you play it, it's a slightly different experience because the AIs are interacting in a different way. It just seems like really these games are going to live forever once they start implementing AI variability, and how you interact with NPCs and all kinds of stuff is going to just explode.
Yeah, especially with those like top games. Like if you have that in Elden Ring, it will already never die, but this would even enhance the experience. But a lot of games, even with that, probably just go to dust, and it's better that way. I can also see a few like real life cases that can really benefit from this. For example, a baby simulator, like the same thing you said with how is it called? Civilization? No.
Are you talking about Parallel Colony? The name of the game?
Exactly.
Yeah, Colony.
You could have the same where you grow up a little AI, but in this case it's a baby, and then you can practice being a parent or whatever. Like there's many use cases and simulations you can do with that.
You're saying school classes in the future are going to do that to the kids so that they actually learn something useful at school. Okay.
We'll see. All right, let's leave the kids alone and no.
What?
What?
I mean, okay.
I just wanted to make a stupid joke.
Yeah. No, AI is going to be so helpful, and there's like so many things, right? Like you said, like it can help people with like real world like learning skills. Basically, I think education is an immense thing. Like you can have a personal tutor for free now at home. Like wherever you are, right? It's all on your phone potentially right now or soon. At least I can open ChatGPT on my phone, right? But there's probably going to be tailored apps for people, and then they're going to learn from you and exactly what they can teach you. It's like far better than this average like school system where you have 30 kids in a class, and it ranges from really smart and just is really bored to this kid needs like more attention and needs to understand something. And the AI can genuinely know, okay, you struggle, I don't know, reading comprehension, you struggle with like this part, okay, I'm going to teach you this, or you like, this is like way too easy, I'm going to give you something more difficult, and so on. I think that's going to enhance society a lot. And I mean, in the short term, it's probably just going to cause a pretty big rift between kids that grow up learning how to use those things and kids who don't grow up learning how to use it. But at a point in society where it's widely used, I think it's going to be enormous jump and very, very positive. So like I made the joking thing, right? Like you're going to give this like to the high school kids and be like, I don't know, learn how to have a relationship with somebody or learn how to take care of a baby or a younger sibling. I think that's a genuinely useful skill that people should be learning to some extent. And AI can help with that. It's not only like math and science and whatnot. I think it's fundamentally amazing. And we see like so much because we talk about like gaming and like crypto trading and whatever. I think that's like it's not even the main use case for like humanity, basically.
Yeah,
I went like very long, very deep there.
You could be in business school and then you have a simulation of somebody getting thrown in being the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company and just like, all right, survive this day or whatever. Like there's unlimited possibilities.
Yeah,
it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you used to say you can learn anything on the internet, right? And that's still true. But now I think the shift is quickly becoming, if you need to learn anything, you just ask ChatGPT, or like if you need, ChatGPT is basically my search engine. Like I don't Google things anymore. I just ask ChatGPT.
Yeah. And it used to be like the big step was, I feel like, onto YouTube, where it got away from like guided text form, where it was you watch a YouTube video and now I can change my toilet. Like the last few years, the things I did with just YouTube, like I'm a plumber now. I can do a full floor. You can build a full house just with YouTube. And with ChatGPT, it goes that direction, just gets even more efficient. But I think it still needs that time to get reliant, because now on YouTube, you get your info from the actual expert. And sometimes with ChatGPT, like you cannot trust it blindly yet, right? I wouldn't trust fully on ChatGPT to build a house, because sometimes
I don't know if
gets it so wrong.
I don't know if this already exists or not, but really when it's going to get crazy, I guess, is when ChatGPT can embed videos in its response from like YouTube, right? Like you ask, how do I play Illuvium? And it gives you a response, and then it says, for more information, here's a top creator, Viper, with a tutorial on how how to play Illuvium or whatever, and it embeds the video or it links the video in the response. Like, I think that kind of stuff.
I
agree.
can search the web, right? But I don't think it links you web things in the web. Like if you make a GPT, like then it searches the web for a bunch of stuff. I think that it's capable of doing that. But for the like average responses that it gives you, I think it's not searching the web at the moment. Yeah.
Lots of room for growth still, but AI certainly is the future.
It's come really far in what, like 1.5 years now, basically. So now I'm using ChatGPT for a crazy amount of things. It's like everything like text related, and like why would I?
Same. I mean, I sent an email to my wife and I were renting currently. I sent an email to our landlord the other day, and I literally told her, like, I can't imagine life, like what was life like before ChatGPT? Like I would have had to sit here and type out this whole message myself. Like all I had to do is give it 3 bullet points and it made the email for me. It's just like, it's great.
Yeah, I can't imagine how I do like YouTube without it. Like I don't know.
I just went in and searched for it, like
it gives you the links.
Best Illuvium guides. And I clicked the first one, and it's my video from 2 years ago.
Maybe it's not that good yet.
Man, that's good.
I mean, you probably have to prompt it better and be like a recent video or something then, right? But
ChatGPT knows what's up. Don't you discredit this. But the good thing is it's like from 1 year ago, so it's outdated. And that's probably why it's still going. Just check.
Yeah, you just prompt it, right? You just say like from the recent month or something, and then it's probably gonna work better. But that's crazy that it can give you videos already.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Second one is Brycent. Right now I'm curious. Then it's Modern Llama, the video for the one he got hired, and another llama. All right.
Wild. Either one of you guys catch the public play test for Gauntlet? I think it was like 3 hours ago. I didn't see it, but
I sneak peeked it. It looked like a very alpha version of TFT. Like it's like the other day I was streaming. Somebody hit me up. I have the idea. I figured it out what's gonna happen with content. He had this crazy idea how all the players on the board could share synergies. And he explained me the whole thing, and it sounded really nice, but it's just going to be a 1-to-1 copy of TFT. Just, do what has already been proven, and we have already synergies. So we have classes and affinities, which are going to change up the gameplay a lot anyway. And yeah.
Do you think do you think it's too similar to TFT? That it's going to create rifts within TFT, they're just going to call us a copy? Or do you think that this is the safe play to start and then you pivot from there and you add on to it?
I think they give it their best shot, because the thing you can improve over it is graphics, is like you can go with the camera inside and look the guy in the eye and see the eye in like the craziest graphics. So it's a AAA copy, and I think that alone has its rights.
No, that's true. Like Illuvium graphics are just better than TFT graphics, right? That's one thing for sure. Illuvium, the hex grid is different to TFT, and okay, so on the baseline side, like a TFT player can probably just look at this and it's like, okay, I have shops, they cost things, they have tiers. Like the fundamental gameplay side that somebody needs to just go and start play the game is essentially TFT. And I think that's how it should be. That's how Parallel like draws in card game players, because a Hearthstone player can go and play the game and they understand it. The same for like a Magic player and so on. It's like, it's a mana-based game. This is how I bang. This is like the basic stuff. And I think then you need to do something that makes it different, right? And this right now is an alpha version of the game. It is pretty much similar to how TFT 5 years ago first made it to like the Riot client, where they had no augments, they had no galaxies, they had none of the like sets, none of the things that they do to make TFT from season to season different, and the good things they just keep were in there back then. So I think Illuvium should just take the things that work in TFT and then add something different on top, right? For example, the Ranger is something different, weapons and suits for the Ranger are different. Hyper is a different mechanic. I don't like Hyper. I think Hyper should probably be gone from Gauntlet. I think it's comparatively really shit. But affinities and classes are different to the traits that are in TFT as well, because that don't need to go into TFT gameplay details, but so the class and the unit system is different. The upgrade system for units is a bit different as well, because TFT units power spike way more on like stage 2 and 3 than Illuvium units do, so to say. So I think that's like going to be a bit different on the gameplay side, where you cannot like one-to-one replicate TFT like mindset on a lot of things, because like a stage 3 legendary in TFT is auto win. You won the game. Like in Illuvium, that's like a Dorito becoming a Dorius. It's like, okay, you don't insta-win the game if you have that unit on your board. So gameplay-wise, it is probably going to be different. I also think that maybe they have to adjust things for Gauntlet. Like that the units get more stat boosts, because in Arena and the stats are balanced around Arena, right? Not balanced around Gauntlet. So it's an alpha version. There's probably a lot to do, a lot to make extra. And then you need to put like this twist to make the game different. I also agree that twist probably shouldn't be there right now, because then it's like, maybe it goes wrong. Maybe it's
safer
like
to just
it's just like
take the risk.
It's like the alpha version of TFT. If people really like think, oh, this is cool, this is fun, and then you can make a beta version and then a finished version, and then it's like a AAA tier version of TFT with like extra stuff, because people can say, oh, TFT was just a copy of Dota Auto Chess. True. Yeah. Like it's just a copy of Dota Auto Chess, and Dota Auto Chess is a copy of custom-made Warcraft 3 mods that people made for fun in essentially the builder that they had there. So like we're always gonna copy something from some other game in the past, probably. It's pretty hard to just invent some new genre, essentially.
Yeah. What we tried with Ascendant Arena, right?
Ascendant Arena is actually really new, yeah. I think Ascendant Arena has a lot of potential as well, but
so where do you stand on that? There's been some talk of shelving Ascendant Arena entirely.
No. Just figure it out. Yeah. Like I think if you figure out how Ascendant, like, because I think there is a void for 1v1 strategy game right now, and when people say, I see that in Discord as well. Oh, like Auto Battle is niche, or TCG is niche. There were like 100 million people playing Hearthstone alone in 2018. And then we have
You're like a walking gaming encyclopedia. I feel like I learn more about the industry every time you talk.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I've been in that industry for like years and like working there, right? Yeah. So like obviously I remember stuff and so on, but so there's like hundreds of millions of people that actually play card games or like 1v1 strategy games. I mean, StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, like huge successes. They're kind of like not the time, like they're not like time adequate anymore, because like the gaming consumer has changed a bit from the, let's say, sweaty basement nerd that was playing for 10 hours a day, the most tried micro game StarCraft 2, to now people look for like slightly different things. And also like an issue with like StarCraft and Warcraft, it's like hard to get into the game if other people have like 10 years of experience. Yeah. Because then they like know way more stuff, and then like a game like TFT, you can get into the game now. Like you didn't play 5 years for the last 5 years, it's fine. You can catch up to people. So I think that's like a modern gaming thing that has changed. And coming back to the initial point, there are like hundreds of millions of people that like these genres. We just have billions of people playing games nowadays. And yeah, like shooter is a more casual thing, because it's like aim your mouse and shoot somebody in the head. That's easier to understand than a card or strategy game, but that doesn't mean that you have no audience for those games. It's just there's a void of a really good game missing, and the last time that void was filled was like peak Hearthstone, which has declined severely. And that's like the bullish case of Parallel as well, that Parallel could fill that void if they like figure out something to just like get all those players united in one game, instead of having them all scattered in Runeterra, Hearthstone, Marvel Snap, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Like the list keeps going. There's like an infinite amount of online card games and these things. So yeah, TFT has like all the Auto Battler players essentially connected, together in TFT. I think the jump is like TFT to Hearthstone Battlegrounds, and that's an immense jump nowadays. I think it used to be a lot smaller, but TFT is just over the top compared to the other ones, because it's just a better game. And I think if you make the good 1v1 game, you'll do fine. And yeah, I think Arena has a really good shot at that. It's not there yet though, which I think is okay. I mean, it's pretty hard to get an entirely new genre pretty much just right immediately.
I mean, we haven't even launched mainnet yet, so we're doing okay, I think. We got time to figure it out, right?
Yeah, no, that's like that's the main point. I think Overworld has been super amazing. I think even the recent patch notes, right? There's like just so much stuff that's just finished or really ready when the game hits mainnet. It's not that after you release mainnet and you make better. There's a lot of really good quality of life things that are in the game now. And I think Overworld is going to be a really, really good experience to play as a game. And then, maybe it's a bit of the crypto thing where maybe you want Arena is not the biggest hit, or maybe people are not crazy about Gauntlet cosmetics. Who knows? Maybe they are. Maybe people are going to want to play a Gauntlet Leviathan and they're going to have all the highest stat Illuviums. Maybe Arena is far better than people are like doom thinking right now. Maybe it's going to go better, right? Because not everything has to be the super competitive game as well. That's my criticism to Arena. I think it's not a hyper competitive game. It's, for example, not something that I would want to play 10 hours a day right now. I think Gauntlet would probably be more in my alley there, maybe even Leviathan Gauntlet, because I don't mind that setup. But maybe a lot of people who don't have this mindset are like, yeah, Arena is great. Because we read that sentiment all the time as well. And those are the far more casual players than me, for example.
Yeah.
It's going to be
topic.
Interesting.
I
like that Illuvium. Basically, we casted our, I don't know how the saying goes, but we have all the different games out there, and we have a big chance that one is gripping the mainstream attention and get some adoption. I'm very positive on it. And worst case, if we at least go as big as Axie, we're good enough.
That's a good worst case.
Yeah.
Well, what was Axie's revenue? 1.2 billion?
Yeah, something like that.
It's like a third biggest Web2 game, fifth biggest, something like that.
I looked at that game and I was like physically trying to push myself to do it because I wanted to try this play to earn thing, but the game looked so dog shit I couldn't do it. I think
it's like similar for me. I got like I don't know if it was like a sponsorship email or something in like, I don't know, 220, 221. I think it was about Axie, and I kind of just like skipped through the like play to earn this and that. I was like, whatever. It's like a missed opportunity there.
Nah, screw that.
Yeah, I never got into Axie for the same reason. I don't like to just. I feel so. Maybe it just depends on who you are as a person. But if I'm gonna do something to make money, my background's in trading. Like, I've been trading for over a decade. Like, I'll just sit and stare at a chart and trade. I don't need to like play some shit game to earn. Like, if I'm gonna play something, I want it to be fun and enjoyable. And there really hasn't been a lot of that the past few years. So I'm excited for Illuvium to be out. And yeah, I mean, I feel like I've kind of got a taste of that through Parallel. Like, I've been having fun playing it and also earning, but I'm also just playing it because I enjoy it. Like, even if I wasn't earning anything, I'd still be enjoying it, so.
Yeah, I think the earnings part is like kind of okay because it makes you play like 5 minutes a day. I think it's like a 1 to 2 hour thing, maybe 2.5 hours if you have a bad day. I think that's like a good, it's just a good like daily quest to fulfill of the game basically. And yeah, I think that's good to have basically.
Yeah, I like that it's not so time consuming. Did you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and I like Parallel's approach to, and maybe that's what you were just saying, but I like Parallel's approach to, you can feel like you're done if you're playing to earn after 5 games, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to sink an entire day into it.
Yeah.
And because I think you can start, even if you don't have all day, or even if you did have all day, let's say, you can start to feel like you're missing out if you do anything other than play the game, right? But if you get your 5 wins, you're like, okay, I accomplished that for the day. Like, I had fun doing it. I'll be back tomorrow type thing. But yeah, Paz and I and the other guys on the ICC have actually been working on a draft for a proposal on how to enhance Gauntlet a little bit to like tie it back into the economy. So I don't know if you've looked at it yet, Viper, but I'd be curious to get your feedback on it.
I think I didn't get access to the document yet.
Okay. All right.
Somebody has to give me that.
Okay. Yeah, I dropped it. I thought it was a share link, but yeah, well, I think that'll be interesting to talk through once everybody gets a look at it.
You think we can talk about it here, or better not?
I mean, we probably can. I mean, how much time do you guys have? Are we
half an hour
good on time? Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I mean, if Viper shits on our idea, he's just going to have to do it publicly. But
sure,
that's probably okay. But I mean, do you want to pull it up, Pads? Can you access it?
Yeah. Also, you kind of spoiled it already in a good way.
Yeah.
Like,
kind of.
It's the parallel.
It's similar, right? It's similar to like Parallel's 5 wins a day model type thing.
Yeah.
I guess you don't have to screen share it, but you could just like talk through it. I just don't have it in front of me.
Oh yeah, sure. So basically, you can earn LV tokens based on how many of the Illuvials you own that you have used in your Gauntlet match. Similar as how many cards you used in, how many cards you have as NFTs in Parallel, you max out your earnings. You get more earnings.
Yeah. Where do the tokens come from?
Maybe so you want to jump in now? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So yeah, the idea is to take the idea is to take a percentage of Revdis and divert it from ILV stakers to in-game rewards. And so whether that number is like 5% or 10%, it can be, I think, adjustable based on the player base and like how much spend is going on. But yeah, the idea is that people are then incentivized to go into Overworld and capture more, like have more alluvials as NFTs. They don't have to have the NFTs to play Gauntlet, right? It's similar to Parallel, like you have basically like APs, but if you do have the alluvials that you are using in Gauntlet or however we want to balance that, then you can earn ILV for that match if you place high enough. So like we say top 4 are in the money or whatever the case is, and you can have a max of 5 wins per day. Anything else contributes to your MMR. And the tokens are coming from Revdis, not a faucet. So that was the general idea, and we thought I think it would improve revenue for the DAO because people are then incentivized to go out into Overworld, spend on Overworld to capture more alluvials so that they can go back to Gauntlet and earn more ILV from their play. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of in its early stages of fleshing out like the numbers and stuff, but curious to kind of hear if you think that could tap into the economy at all.
I think like my first, I think the idea in general is interesting, but the big worry that I would have is generally there are going to be a bunch of alluvials that people just capture by playing the game or playing for the arena decks. There's going to be a bunch of access that everybody that plays over is going to have, and those could just like even rent those out for free to other people who just want to play Gauntlet, right? So I really like it's just a numbers game, right? I wonder how much what's you could justify, because I wonder how much extra spend you would actually get from this, just due to probably the abundance of especially lower tier, lower stage alluvials especially.
Those would be weighted lower than though. Like for example,
even then it's like those are just going to exist for free is what I mean. Like people are just going to have them. It's like you don't actually make somebody spend extra to go and capture those. Like even then people would just probably have a higher resale value on a lot of those things on market. It wouldn't actually create more, is what I to some extent worry. Unless Gauntlet obviously has some really crazy player numbers, and then like those people just need more alluvials to exist to fulfill that. But yeah, that's the question. Like you need to increase the amount of existing alluvials, right? Like otherwise you just give more utility to alluvials, which is cool. But if you take away from Revdis for that, then that's like maybe not optimal. It's a numbers game. I don't think it's not bad, but it's a numbers game, right?
Yeah.
It's like maybe it's not something that should be implemented at launch. Maybe it's something that you can just actually check, okay, what is like the Gauntlet player base? Do those people own NFTs? Do they have like passport accounts? What are they doing? How many of these alluvials do we have in existence and so on? I think it's certainly interesting to look, and you can copy more from Parallel, right? You can have extra NFTs, or like you have a holo that has a higher multiplier and whatever. Like that's it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think it was intended to be something to try to cram in before launch. I think that would be unrealistic because I'm sure there's infra stuff that they'd have to change. But I think once we get, and we'll be able to make a more educated decision, like you said, once we see what RevDis looks like, right? Because like if RevDis is like, and the rewards that, and I think Parallel might actually work similarly in terms of like the amount of prime that is able to be earned on a daily basis. I think they base it somewhat on syncs or something, but
it's like at some point it's going to be mainly that, but I think right now it's still vastly just
emissions.
Because it's okay. Because it's only like 40%, 35% tokens in existence, so like it's mainly the way that tokens get into existence. So
yeah, so I think in our model we would want the rewards that can be obtained on a daily basis to be variable based on what RevDis is, obviously. So like if RevDis is going crazy, then maybe you can earn a little bit more from your play. But even if RevDis isn't going crazy, maybe a win only gets you like 0.01 ILV or something, but it still is something, right? It's like it gives people a reason to want to have those alluvials. But yeah,
and you could also implement, for example, if RevDis is higher than this, then the system like kicks in, for example, so you don't. Yeah, like so it's like in a like a very bullish, optimistic case, you essentially just up the marketing spending, because obviously to some extent people are going to be like, well, if I can play this game, I can make some ILV tokens, so I buy the collection. Like Furia could give you more players and so on. So yeah, I think that there might
I kind
be
of look at it as a player.
Sure.
Yeah, I look at it as a player acquisition cost to a point, right? Because you're going to attract people to enter the ecosystem if they feel like they can earn from playing Gauntlet. And so I think you're right. It's a numbers game to the sense of what percentage of RevDis is it worth giving up to acquire more players and get more people into the ecosystem, and then hope that they spend money in other ways, whether that be fuel or overworld or whatever. But
if the numbers game is figured out, do you think it would be hard to get across to the community and get their
and if you can make a very educated case that just showcases this is beneficial for net revenue, so you get I don't know, you get like a few percentage less, but the number from which you get percentage is 50% higher or something. I mean, 50 is probably like
you give
reaching,
up,
but you give up a small amount to get a way bigger pie, so therefore you get more money in the end, right?
The idea would be
the same as the Alliance program, right?
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. So it's similar in the sense that you tell the community, maybe you give up 5% of RevDis to recirculate it back as in-game rewards, but the idea is that you get 10% more spend in the economy because you're bringing in more players, because you're incentivizing them to come in and spend and earn and stuff. And I think a lot of the community people are also going to be somewhat okay with that. I could see people that aren't playing the game being upset, but like for me personally, I don't really care if 5% of RevDis gets diverted into in-game rewards, because I'll be playing the game and I'll be getting my 5 wins a day to earn from that also, right? So it's like, is the loss going to be, I might not be competing at the highest rank, which I think we would want to do it similar to Parallel in the sense that the ranked systems, like you earn a larger amount by being a higher rank, so people are incentivized to grind for MMR also, which is kind of where Parallel has settled. But I think I think it has potential. So yeah, it was just an idea I had the other day. We talked about it on the ICC call.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I mean, you could spin that idea in a similar sense for arenas, so right, where you say, for example, Hollows or Dark Hollows also have that utility. Or like I think there's like currently no leaderboard reward system, right? You could copy the leaderboard reward system to a similar level what Parallel is doing. I think Parallel, compared to what we did in the private beta, I think the private beta Illuvium leaderboard rewards thing was more annoying. I mean, I think that I played for 5 weeks and then I quit. In those 5 weeks, I think I made 36 ILV of it. So it was like a really good weekly thing to get because I performed really, really good. But it was still really stressful and annoying to play. So at some point I was like, it's just not even worth it, even though I was making decent amounts of it. And yeah, Parallel is like, it's way much as like you said, right? I'm done for the day. I don't have to worry about all the other stuff. Okay, I have to worry about staying in master rank, maybe. Sure, that's like the one worry I have. Then like other people maybe staying in diamond or platinum or whatever. So I think that's like a really chill
when you have
reward system.
unlimited rewards or whatever, it turns into this it becomes, like you said, it becomes not fun, right? Because you're like, if I'm doing anything but grinding this, I'm wasting my time, or I'm missing out. Like it's you have to do it all the way, or you don't do it at all. Like there is no middle ground. Whereas
That's
the
why I
middle
don't
ground,
like the missions and the milestones at the moment, because it
But you
feels
don't?
like
Yeah.
it's
I think they're chill.
no. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
great addition to the game, but me personally, right now on testnet, I'm gonna try not to burn out and wait for mainnet. For mainnet, they're
Mhm.
great because it gives that FOMO that you can never grind enough, and that's what we want. We want just people to be
I thought that was like the hollow grind, right? Like the previous
I
one,
think
the
both
first.
are yeah. Hologrind was even worse, but I
Yeah,
think this one
Hologrind
is
was like
also
a 16-hour day,
similar.
or I just don't want to play kind of thing. Even though that doesn't actually make sense because you just got paid for the amount of points, so it didn't really matter how many hours you put in. You just got like
because it was
dollar
really
amount
no
/
leaderboard.
hour. Yeah, there was no like rank 1 gets a different percentage than like other people. It was just dollar amount per hour, depending on how well you played on average for most people. And I think like the missions, okay, I'm okay with the missions because I think they're like very achievable. Like it's been what, like 10 days, and I've not been playing crazy amounts, but I'm done with the majority of stuff basically. That is like achievable in my mind. Like tier 5 stage 3 is, I don't think that is achievable.
By the way,
Pretty much
non-crazy
everything else
amount
is achievable.
non-crazy amount of hours for Viper means crazy amounts for
Only
normal
12 hours a
people.
day.
No,
Yeah.
like 6 to 8 hours a day maybe. So like
That's still crazy for most people.
It's a full-time
It's a
job,
full-time job.
yeah, but like okay, like I mean, Illuvium kind of is my full-time job, right? I'm like streaming, YouTube, content creation, council member. Like
slacking.
it is
Only 8 hours.
my job, right? Like it's like the same like Illuvium's full-time job for passers, right? If you obviously if you have a profession that you go after, then yeah, this is not essentially what you're going for, right? But that's also not the target audience those things are for, right? That the target audience is like, I don't know, students, college kids, people who have like a week off and they want to play a lot and so on, right? It's different to that.
Yeah. And
but yeah, fair point. It's still more than 5 minutes a day. Sorry.
And coming back to the idea was what I think Illuvium is kind of missing, and everybody says play to earn is dead. But we see it in parallel. It's not like it's still people still want that. And in Illuvium, we have a lot of incentives, but we don't have this extraction, right? This play to earn type of thing. So I think with this we can capture also more audience again. For example, the parallel players, they will all hear this and will be like, all right, that's like parallel. I like this system. I'm gonna come in here. So I think it just opens us up to another demographic. In this,
I think play to earn can be a problem when it is dilutive in nature, but most of our like emissions for staking rewards are done, right? So really, if Illuvium can dial it in to where the rewards is always less than what is being bought off the market from RevDis, seems sustainable to me, right? Like it seems reasonable. And if you can dial in the numbers just right to where it incentivizes more spend than you're losing in net revenue value, then I think it makes a lot of sense to reward ILV through that system. And you could even have it be, I mean, you could potentially even have those rewards like be auto staked or something to where, or like maybe you get some kind of bonus if you auto stake your ILV rewards that you earn from in-game rewards. So it's still a sync, even though you're earning from it, something like that. But even if 100% of the gameplay rewards were sold on the market, it would still be a net zero effect to what has been bought through RevDis. So, I think it makes it interesting.
Yeah, I think like play to earn is like that, and it's like the like Ponzi scheme kind of sentiment, right? If it is, because in my case has all. I come from Web2 gaming industry, right? I've done pro player. I've like in trading card games, buying and selling of trading cards. I've played various tournaments, trading card game, Web2 games and stuff. There's coaching. There's the casting tournaments. There's third-party websites and tools. There's like writing content guides and so on. There's like being a content creator. And
I'm available for parallel coaching if you're interested.
Right, sure, yeah. But that's the list of like so many things how you can make money in gaming essentially. And I think that the play to earn narrative should just be, well, just incorporate those things into the game. Like have these like DeFi elements in that game that are existing and provable and they work. It doesn't have to be like, I don't know, I saw that in the Illuvium airdrop thing, right? People are like, I spent 300 hours playing this game, therefore give me money. I'm like, okay, that's bullshit. That's like not sustainable by any means. There has to be, well, parallel at some point is going to be, well, the amount of money people spend, some is going to be redistributed to the people who own these NFTs and such. You have to keep buying the new cards, so you're not just getting it for free all the time. And then I guess the people who just have these earning boost NFTs, you can power creep those as well. You can release new ones, right? And then maybe you need to buy the new earning boost thing and so on. So, like, first of all, that stuff helps you fund everything. And then you can just power creep it, essentially, and you can sell new products. So,
I mean, the general idea of you have to continue to spend money to be competitive enough to earn from the economy, I think is crucial, right? Like,
even if then you go plus minus zero and you make like trading fees as a company, right? Like even then that's like, as a company still, first of all, you have players, and second of all, you can, trading fees is a relevant thing to earn in Web3 in general. Like marketplace is a very, very substantial way to make tremendous amounts of money if you copy the like trading card game economy to online. Because all the trading card game marketplaces have like enormous sums of money. Like TCG Play in the USA,
Parallel is
market
moving
in Europe.
I think Parallel is trying to move in that direction because they have Sanctuary, right, which is like this marketplace that they're creating. But then Illuvium already has the Illuvidex, so you capture all of that secondary market volume by incentivizing people to win in something like Gauntlet. They go out and they buy alluvials they need, or they go and they spend on overworld runs or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that helps keep the entire thing running in a sustainable way when you can control that part of the market as well and get fees from it. So
yeah, I think it's like a hard thing to get right, honestly. Like it is very hard to get the numbers right, and you probably have to be really careful to not get it wrong. Mainly, like maybe you can, like I think underpaying people or under incentivizing people in that sense. Okay, that's acceptable. But like giving too much, then it becomes really tough. So yeah. Whereas Illuvium is a DAO, right, and things can just be adjusted all the time through IIPs and ICCP, so that's good.
I think the idea is we wanted to put through this idea as a concept to put it through as a proposal, but certainly not to have at launch, and more so pass it now and let labs monitor the situation, look at RevDis, and put together some numbers that make sense to them, and then you can always pivot from there and adjust later on. But
no, I think that the concept is good and can probably be like a similar thing for Arena, maybe, because I think it is a healthier version for leaderboard rewards than what we had before, for example.
Do you think there's room for, just I guess one last little pivot that I want to pick your brain on? Do you think there's room for like a battle pass type model in the economy that's been created here? Like, do you think that it would make sense to bring in fresh revenue into Illuvium?
It depends on like what assets you give out in the battle pass, right? Essentially, if you give out cosmetics, then I mean, there's no issue with that, right? Okay, honestly, landholders can have issues with that because they're like, well, we produce the cosmetics and so on. So maybe you have something there, but I think
they were never promised to have the
they're not promised. They're not promised like a like a monopoly
exclusivity.
They're not promised that essentially, but there's still some people going to be unhappy about it, and it's a DAO, right? So you have to look at what assets can you offer people in the battle pass. Because I think, for example, offering fuel, you're just going to have people multi-account and whatever. So that's like troublesome. You cannot give fuel, I think. Therefore, the only thing left is like cosmetics or...
It has to be similar in Parallel, but we don't have AP.
What if the fuel that was in the battle pass was bought from landholders? So the DAO buys the fuel for the battle passes from land from what's being produced by landholders. So basically, it's just circumventing the need to go to the exchange. You're basically prepaying for fuel, right? You pay $20 for a battle pass. You're getting X amount.
The issue, that's not the issue. The issue is that people are just gonna make a battle pass, level it full, send stuff to new account, battle pass, use it full, and so on and so on. And you cannot prevent that.
And it's again a numbers game to not.
No, it's just you just like
worth it.
Have a discount on fuel then for everybody that wants the multi account. Like it's like cheating the system.
Yeah,
like,
I mean it would be cheaper. Because even if you're paying $20, you would have to be getting more than $20 of value from the battle pass, or why do it? And then you're just getting discounted fuel. So I don't know.
You do the cosmetics, like that's fine. That's like what most games do, even, right? Like they just give you cosmetics essentially.
Or tier 0 stuff. That's our AP, right? You get like Exalted Rocco, which is very rare, as we have seen, for example.
We will have to see how rare they are on like in the future, but then you kind of like take away from the people who want to play tier 0 for this like sell on marketplace.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think playing tier 0 and leveling Illuviates is like the convert time to value thing in Illuvium. I don't want to take away from that, honestly.
No, it's cool.
I had one other thought.
Tier 0 is so valuable. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
You shouldn't devalue it even more.
Yeah, I think the reason battle passes are attractive to me is I think you have a group of I think when a player falls in love with the IP, their default behavior is to buy the battle pass, even if it doesn't make financial sense. Like if you're just an Illuvium maxi and you like Illuvium, you're like, even if I don't need it, I'm going to buy the battle pass because I love Illuvium, everything. Right?
No, I mean,
and then it I think it can become a good source of revenue for the DAO if we were able to find a way to do it, because you have those people that will default by it.
100%. You just like a really exclusive battleboard skin at the highest level, or exclusive drone skin halfway through. That is really, really good. You just have to like figure out how you fill the filler levels essentially. That might be a tough thing, but fundamentally, battle passes is a great thing because it also keeps people playing the game. Like battle passes is like original play to earn in a sense. So it's more like play to discount, because you play a bunch, you earn a bunch of experience, and you get a bunch of items that otherwise you would have had to pay 10 times more money for. But first of all, people gave you the money because it's like on a super discount, and then they still spent a bunch of time in the game, and they're probably just going to buy the next one because they're really happy about all the loot that they've gotten, and they feel like they cheated this expensive cosmetic system and so on. Like
and it turns into a FOMO thing also, right? Because if it's Battle Pass exclusive and it's not going to ever be back or whatever, then if you buy the Battle Pass, you know damn well, or that you are going to complete that Battle Pass before the end of the season, because you are not going to miss out on that value. Like there was a one of the parallel seasons where I was running behind, I hadn't played enough, and like the end of the season was coming up and I hadn't completed it, and I grinded for like 12 hours straight to get it done, because I'm like, I'm not going to miss out on value from the Battle Pass. So I think you kind of get the people that will fall into that camp as well. But I don't know, just another thing that's kind of been on my mind lately that I think maybe we'll get an IAP out for post launch to kind of look at how things are looking. I think it could be interesting.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Why does every single successful studio make it? Because it's just like you say, it
makes money
to play. It builds a really good like habit. It gives you that illusion of winning, and it builds a habit of just investing into the game and spending more money, and it just works really well.
It's user-friendly monetization. Like I think like in general, monetization in games has gone more and more user-friendly, but more and more user-friendly doesn't necessarily mean that the companies make less revenue out of it, because it just becomes a product that more people want to use, and Battle Pass is a really good example for that.
I think it becomes a kind of subconscious cultural thing too, right? Like because gamers are already used to doing battle passes, it's an easier sell. Like you're not having to get them to spend money on something they're unfamiliar with. You tell them, this is just like Fortnite or Call of Duty or any of your other favorite games that have battle passes. Like this is an easy sell then.
And
I mean maybe you can even give them like a Illuvitas and the battle pass that are like don't have power to them, so you cannot play for the leaderboard with them or whatever. But like it's a profile picture that you can use.
It's a cosmetic,
then again, it takes away from Illuvium again, right? So you have to like
it's balancing. It's all balancing. Right?
Yeah, that's like the thing. It's like there's a lot of options. Just like I'm not gonna on the fly figure it out, but there's a tremendous amount of possibilities there. Because soul-bound items also exist, right? Not everything has to be NFT. Like ores and plants, for example, are not NFTs. Like you could give people consumables for the game, for example.
Like what I like the most is giving out fuel. Like I know it's hard to balance, and there's a lot to it.
That fuel is a hard no for me.
But it would make the onboarding so much easier because the Web2 gamers could come in, just buy the battle pass with like $10 or whatever it is without any wallet thing, and then through the wallet you can earn your tier 1 run or something, and then you're already
you would have to
in the game.
You would have to make it
to cheat.
It would have to be you would have to make it not enough fuel that it's worth it to them to multi-account, right? Like maybe if it's just slim enough of a margin to where it's not worth it. Yeah, like a 1% difference or something. But
the fuel is actually you're not getting a discount, and then the skins is actually the value that you get extra. But you get along.
Yeah, so you spend
fillers,
you spend
fuel.
Yeah, if you go net negative on the fuel to dollar, then or like in the fuel to market. Yeah, then like essentially
then it would work
more
like
reasonable.
$10 the battle pass, you get $5 of fuel and skins. And kind of balance
it. Would have to be that way because then you
possibility then
because that
could be interesting. I kind of agree that it would be easier for onboarding, right? You come in, you buy the battle pass, you don't have to spend money on the exchange to get fuel. But as long as that fuel is still coming from the landholders, like the DAO would have to purchase it from the exchange, not just print it out of thin air. But then you have then basically landholders are getting a bump in revenue from battle pass sales, essentially. Like the more battle passes that sell, the more the landholders would earn, which they would also like, I'm sure, if it helps lower the barrier.
I mean, in theory, you could price a battle pass in fuel as well, so that you can still swipe like a dollar amount, but that dollar amount buys fuel off the marketplace essentially, and then you get the battle pass for that. I mean that it's probably there's economy advantages to that in general, right? Like first of all, you're buying fuel off the marketplace, that's good. Then you're like as landholders happy, and then the second thing is you can balance the fuels as well. Like the battle pass is just like in the least used fuel, for example. So then you have a sink for the fuel then that before you didn't have, for example. So there's obviously advantages to that. I think it's interesting concept.
Might be worth exploring there.
Yeah, let's just put this conversation as our marketing for next epoch. So, and then we revisit this in another episode of
elections are going to be around, or like soon around the time that the episode is going live as well. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Oh, I mean, awesome. This is a promo for all three of us then, I guess.
Sure.
So we're all going to be...
We're going to market it as that. Let's go. Didn't even think about it. Makes sense.
I'll make a thumbnail that way.
But, pretty high level conversations today. It's really good.
Yeah. To not yank... No, I always say that wrong. But to not be too many... that's my... I cannot bring.
How are your words?
I don't even know what's going to come.
What I wanted to say is, without boosting our ego too much, I think this should happen more oftentimes. This is happening not enough, that actually council members also from different councils and also not in meetings come together, talk about stuff, and also have some public stuff that they can talk about, because everybody's afraid we're gonna leak something subconsciously, and that's it's gonna not good.
Basically, more open forum discussion of council things or community or just things that we can do to improve Illuvium in general.
Yeah, exactly.
People want to watch this type of stuff.
This stuff is really good, and there's not enough of it, and we should foster that. Especially.
We initially wanted to do something like that, right? But then we never really got to it, like going through governance and ideas and so on.
It was the first idea before we were gonna do a podcast. To just do like a governance podcast kind of thing.
I think at the time there was not enough stuff to cover, but recently it's been so much, so it would have certainly been worth it.
Just going to keep getting more to post-game launch.
Yeah.
I think the ideas are going to be flowing like crazy. So we'll certainly be able to do this more often.
Yeah, 100%. We had Scoriox on here, but we didn't really talk about that. We talked more about AI girlfriends or whatever.
That's one way to do it, I guess.
And travel, time travel. So then who are we missing? We want to get Scrubber. Lichter would be cool. Kieran.
Lichter would be cool.
And
I've never seen Lichter in person. I don't know if any of us have, but I need to put a face to the name someday. He's just a scorpion.
I don't think I've seen him either. Maybe nobody has.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Also, when he had 2 epochs ago, the elections, the interview, he didn't show his face. And yeah, we also had Night Chef Nick on here.
Yeah.
So we just missed Juggernaut from the ACC. I think Viper will be very happy.
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm being stupid.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think that. I mean, I've said this before, right? I think he thinks he knows more than he does on a lot of stuff, and he just wants to like agree with people or wants to say agreeable things, but that are oftentimes just there's like 5 layers more to it than what he's saying, and then it's like not necessarily what he's saying. Essentially, that's like I don't know, like the I guess you can say the issue that I have with the guy, or like with a lot of people in like Illuvium governance related things over the last few epochs, where just like saying nice and cool ideas and then just making it like a few sentences, leaving out like 5 caveats and like 10 counter examples, and just I don't know. I think it's not a good way to present yourself or governance related topics. But that's my take on it, right? I'm like not hiding that.
No. I mean, I have my problems before with Juggernaut before we went into the council, because he has been a very, I think, toxic individual before. And
that's well, yeah, tremendously.
And yeah, but I've been working with him. He tried really hard. He's been grinding, even though he didn't have the expertise of other members. He was just putting in the effort, and I respect that. And that's it. Like I'm down to give people another chance. And now he's kind of like, sometimes some Twitter posts or some stuff he said, like, yeah, I don't agree with, but whatever. I can work with him. That's all that matters to me.
No.
We're ending on a depressing note here. Like so hype all the time.
I have another idea that we could talk about if we want to end on a better note.
But chill. Yeah, what's the idea?
I brought it up earlier today to the ICC. So Scoriox's most recent video talks about is tier 0 sticky enough to get people to want to spend money on tier 1 through 5 runs, or 1 through 3 or whatever. And the idea that I had was, should people be able to craft a consumable using ingots from tier 0? So I think it's Nidar and Rhodium. And should you be able to craft a consumable that gives you 1 tier 1 run and cap it to like once per week? So without spending, you can grind tier 0 to craft basically a consumable that lets you have 1 tier 1 run, get a taste for what that feels like, fall in love with the IP more, and then you cap that to once per week, so you don't have bots grinding to just spam tier 1 runs and ruin the economy. But you let free to play
bot accounts, then it's the issue, right?
I guess you could. I mean, I feel like you can ruin anything with bots, right? I don't know if it's fixable, but is the general idea of being able to grind tier 0 to get the occasional taste of a tier 1 run going to make Overworld more sticky? Or is it just going to ruin the economy?
I think it's just going to ruin the economy because it's too easy to bot. Like you can just have millions of accounts, and then millions of accounts have a free tier 1 run. Yeah. Essentially, especially the way that things are set up, right? Like you can find a tier 5 Illuvium in those runs as well. If you just do a million, you're going to find like a Ramfire, right? So
yeah,
it's like, I don't know, like botting, and it's just an issue. It doesn't even have to be botting in the sense of like you have a machine do this. Like you can just hire a bunch of really low income country people to go and play 100 accounts or more per week and do that. Like it's always when people make the account of
you can't really eliminate
that. It doesn't even have to be automated. Like all of those things where it's like spend money to save time. Like my standard argument against that has been, well, I can just hire a bunch of people for really low salaries and they can play for me. I save insane amounts of time. That's it.
As long as they're bringing in rare enough stuff to cover what you're paying, then it's still a net win for you, and you have 100 people doing it. So, yeah, I get that. And then you can't put like, I think there's been discussion of adding in like during the run having some kind of like in-game captcha or like puzzle or something you have to do to like eliminate bots, but that doesn't solve that problem because it's a real person doing it. It's just they're making 10 cents an hour or whatever. So
exactly.
I think we achieve something similar with what we said earlier, right? If you have a battle pass that is net negative for the people, but you get consumables, you can.
I don't know if you should get consumables, right? But like, I mean, the tier 0 consumables are not NFTs, right? So they're not tradable anyways.
Yeah.
I think like those you can just like give people a bunch in the battle pass. Like, I wouldn't see an issue with that, for example.
You wouldn't earn fuel.
So like maybe a consumable in the battle pass that gives you one tier 1 run, but you had to buy it through the battle pass to get that tier 1 run or whatever. So like something like that.
I mean like the battle pass is $20 and gives you $10 of fuel, right? Like I think that's fine. And then there's like a bunch of other stuff in there as well. But just there's like somebody can like credit card swipe and maybe Illuvium gets $20 and they use those $20 to buy fuel off the market then and burn it, for example.
But in the end, like you said, it can probably never happen.
Not burn it because the company needs revenue, but actually, that fuel board feeds and rafters here. Sorry, it's getting too long today.
But in the end, people can never achieve extraction from Illuvium by just spending time. That's the core.
Yeah, you have to spend money to extract value, or it breaks the economy, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the thing that people can like speed up with all of these things, like hiring scholars and so on, is time, right? So people like that's the main thing on cheating. You have to 100% avoid that people can just get value for free.
Yeah.
Like if people can speed up stuff, then it's like okay, it's like bad if they can speed things up, but
the DAO still makes tons of money in that scenario because they're spending every time. If they're doing runs faster, that sucks practically. Also, like it makes you feel bad, but the DAO's making more money because they're spending more, doing more runs. Essentially,
it's like only good. Yeah, it's like only bad in the perspective of somebody who thought that they can play to earn Illuvium and go on a run and sell things for more. But I thought that has never been the premise anyways. Like I know maybe this sounds like mean to some people. I'm gonna be like, oh man, this piece of shit council member is telling me I cannot make money of playing overworld runs. But like that cannot be the concept, because then the concept is always gonna be I'm gonna hire hundreds of people in the Philippines or in Africa or wherever else I can give them access to playing the game for 10 cents an hour, and they're gonna be my infinite time save source. Yeah. So like you cannot expect to go net positive unless there's like a really high skill requirement in those things, for example. I think then it becomes like, well, do you find infinite amount of people that are very skilled at this as well? Then it becomes a lot harder already, because if they're skilled at that, then they can probably do something that's more than 10 cents an hour.
And to be fair, they can still do it, but just extract value from other players by farming Mac boots and selling them on the marketplace. But they cannot do it from Illuvium.
There definitely is a skill component though, because I'm not super good at Arena either, and there's been situations where I've went into Overworld and I've lost an encounter, not even like the RNG of the capture percentage, but like I've lost an encounter just because I'm not good enough to like beat what is on the other side of the board. And I know for guys like
this encounter sometimes as well. Don't worry.
Yeah.
No. I mean. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it happens to the best of us, but there is some there's some skill involved there. Like even if you find a Ramfire, you have to be able to beat it on the board to capture it.
So. Is still everything.
True. No, hyper is everything. I think
that's going to be what you.
Yeah, that
insanely overtuned.
But after
that's what you should campaign on.
You don't
Viper.
Influence once you're in the game.
You should that should be what you campaign on. You should run on down with hyper and bring bounce, make Illuvium great again.
I mean, hyper is what makes encounters easy and difficult at the same time, right? Because if you play well, then it's super easy. But if you don't, and the enemy team gets the buff, then you're like screwed.
Well, we'll see how that goes. I think we're at the end of the time. Thank you very much, JP, for coming on. That was amazing.
Yeah, it's been
One of
fun.
our best talks, I think.
Yeah, I'm down to do this anytime, and assuming we're all in governance next epoch, maybe we make a better effort to do these more regularly and just talk governance topics. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah,
100%.
certainly.
We can definitely use the podcast for that. It makes a lot of sense, I think. And it's a lot of fun because I wanted to like get Viper's opinion on this anyway. So it's like killing two stones with one bird.
No, I think it's a good concept, hard to pull off. Right.
Yeah.
Good concept, hard to pull off. Got to get the numbers right, but we'll see. So thank you guys. It's been fun. Look forward to our next chat.
Yeah. Have a good one. See you, everybody.
See you guys.
See you guys.